Good afternoon. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It's always an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to come before the WHBR 88.1, TV 33, Comcast Cable, Watkins Broadcasting Corporation, Nation. We always like to start our show off with a mission statement from the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We believe this is the most righteous, forward-thinking, conscience-raising public utterance that one individual can give to another. And for this special television program, we've added something. It is called a chant down. For people of African descent, this chant down reduces negativity. It is scripture plus our mission statement. James 4:7. Submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee. One God, one aim, one destiny. Every week we bring forth a show that has a beginning, a middle, and an ending with redeeming social value. We got a great brother here with us, Elder Lamar Lemons, and our redeeming social value is Sasa. Sasa is our redeeming social value. We can use it Umoja, Sasa, Ujima, Sasa, Amani, Sasa. And as we get ready to introduce our brother, we want it clear that this special is dedicated on today, 9/27/18. Our mathematics, 9/27/18. We're here about mind power, not mind games. If you want a scriptural basis for that understanding of the difference between mind power and mind games, John 10:10. Welcome to the show, Elder Lamar Lemons.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lamar Lemons, in the county of Wayne, in the top 5 black political scientists in all of Wayne County. Plus, he's a member of the Detroit School Board. One of the things that we asked Lamar, you're a DPS alumni?
Yes, sir. Finney High School.
What class?
Well, you want to tell my age now? Class of 72.
We're here, class of 1969, Mumford High School. Our class president is the attorney, Jeff Edison, the esteemed attorney, Jeff Edison. And to all the class of 68, y'all got about 3 more months of tick-tock on your clock. And then you're going to have to move and get out of the way, because the class of 1969, it's our 50th anniversary. And we're going to show you some things. One of the reasons why we're doing DPS Alumni for Life is within 3 weeks we'll be acknowledging the death of a tremendous member of the Detroit Public School alumni, Ken Bridges. Long live the spirit of Ken Bridges. Are you familiar with our brother?
Yes, long live the spirit of Brother Ken Bridges.
We want to say when we heard him present, we were at the Quaba, the Quaba Center. Brother Lamar, we like to give you opportunity as a member of the Detroit School Board to take 3-4 minutes, the time that you like, to just give us an overview with specific reference. Could you reference the crises that our young people are having in terms of the water?
Okay, well, the crisis really doesn't actually stem from the water. Water is a symptom. That is that the state of Michigan operated the Detroit Public School District for 16 of the last 18 years. They were poor stewards, and they did not maintain the buildings. They didn't do simple maintenance. And so there's been a lot of deterioration, both everything from in the physical plant, everything from the roofs to the pipes, through the entire infrastructure have been neglected under the emergency management, to some degree under the reformed CEO, and definitely under the emergency financial manager. As a direct consequence, when the board took over in 2017, in January of 2017, so that we've only had some semblance of elected governance. And I say some semblance because we still have what's known as the Financial Review Commission, which must approve all the actions of the Detroit Public School Board. But we have some semblance of democracy currently. And so as we move, and unfortunately, I am the only individual who was reelected from the board, from the previous board, making the institutional memory being a monolith, and therefore sometimes people tend to doubt the veracity of some of my statements, even though they are have all proven to be accurate.
Okay, my brother,
Yes, sir.
from the roots, those of us who are grassroots, we know that our young people can't drink the water.
Right. So again, that's what I said, is that the pipes were neglected, and as a direct consequence, the maintenance of the building. So and I preface it with that because you will see, first now it's the water. We will address that. We will have hydro station. We will have filters. We're addressing the water. We have been bringing in a bottled water for washing and for and of course for human consumption. So we do have bottled water, but this crisis is worse than the crisis of Flint, and they both are a direct consequence of emergency management.
Now, can our young people wash their hands in the water?
You can wash your hands in the water, but you should not drink it or put your hands in your mouth directly after. There's no direct transition from the washing your hands. It's not you're not the concentration of lead, according to the health department. Again, according to the health specialist, that it is safe to wash.
When we know our young people, particularly our younger children, they cut themselves, they scrape themselves, is there a possible...
That is a possibility.
You know, Tom Joyner on another station, he was like, well, how they wash the cafeteria, the dishes, you in the pre-production, you put that concern to rest. Will you tell our listening audience why there's no concern about what goes on in the cafeteria?
Because we use, the bottled water is used there as well. But it's, again, there's still the water that they wash their hands in, and so there is a possibility of a cut or something, and there could be lead contamination. Well, most importantly, we don't know when and to what degree our children were already exposed to the lead.
In the pre-production, you said that all of the food is outsourced,
It is outsourced.
so that that is not one of the main concerns, because what they do, they just heat it up?
Yes, it's just heated up. And that's because, again, remember we had kitchens and fresh lunches and things when it came up? Well, guess what? The emergency manager shut down all our kitchens because the whole purpose of emergency management was to do what they do in charter schools, which is to privatize. And when you privatize, then there are contracts that go out. Rather than have employees with benefits and union benefits and packages and that, you outsource it to the lowest bidder.
Bruh, Elder Lamar,
Yes, sir.
smiling because back in the 60s, when I used to go to Mumford, my favorite class was lunch. And never missed Friday when, they used to have
Had
that
the
little
fish.
The little fish.
Yes,
And then they
yeah.
had the pizza.
Yes.
So you never missed. But now it's all prepackaged now.
It's prepackaged and outsourced. And that's a direct consequence of emergency management.
Now, when we look at infectious disease, if our young people in there and they have this fear that they can't drink the water, but they're to wash their hands in the water, do we not think that would reduce the incidents where our young people wash their hands?
It possibly could. Again, I can't do
I mean, wouldn't that just make sense?
that some people may be hesitant. That's a possibility.
That they don't, Joyce?
Volunteers, 114.
Okay, ask the big fella, do we want to dip?
Want to dip now? He said he's going to go back and put you on.
Okay. When that, just bump us up and we'll chill. Because, Lamar, while we're waiting to go out, there was this episode of Steinfeld where he was going with the pizza man's daughter, Poppy, and Poppy came out, he fixed his hair, he fixed his pants, but he didn't wash his hands.
Oh, yes, I remember that
I
episode.
mean, don't we think that there's a possibility, particularly as we're going into the winter, this is the 100th anniversary of the greatest Spanish flu influenza epidemic, that it puts more pressure on our young people, because if some of them, they don't want to wash their hands anyway. I mean, that's just, a factor.
Again, that is.
So we have a sense of urgency.
Exactly.
We got to get Elder Paul Taylor up here, because he's got a piece, because we just want to know the sense of urgency. Are we he waiting on us? Because if he bump, if he hit the tune, we'll be quiet. October 16, 1995, over 1 million men took a trip so our community would not have to slip. In our first segment, Elder Lamar Lemons was giving us the information about we say crises in our community. Elder Paul, would you like to give us a opening comment, because you have such a tremendous rundown? If it's not about the who,
ain't about the babies, then what is it really all about?
All right.
That's not my quote. That's from the Honorable Malcolm X, who understood that everything we do today should be about making this world a better place for our children.
yes, sir.
And those who are born and those who are unborn.
All right.
And so everything we do today should be centered around trying to make this world a better place for the babies. Save the babies.
How do you feel about the urgency? Now, who's the brother that was with you that y'all kept taking the water to Flint?
Yeah, well, who was that we take?
He was a treasure there for a while.
You know, the brother who
Yes, sir.
name gets away from me. He
Well,
was a Wayne State student when I was back in school, and lived over on the boulevard right over by Henry Ford Hospital. And Lord knows. at
So he
this
ain't with us.
moment-
He's not with us right now.
Yeah, he's still with us. He's
But you
not
ca-
in this room with us.
But you
so
can't call his name.
I can't call his name.
Okay.
It's a shame to
That-
say, but I know him. Reggie, brother Reggie. I can't remember his last name. at this moment. But he was the one that was instrumental
The sense
in
of
us
ur-
taking the water to
The
Flint.
sense of urgency about Flint, do you think we, because it's right here in our community, our neighborhood, do we have the sense of urgency about the crises that Elder Lamar Lemons is talking about?
Well, again, unfortunately, I'm thinking that we don't. It's unfortunate because the crisis is just as severe, and maybe even severe, more severe, should I say. But seemingly, it has not got the same publicity, maybe, such as that water situation was. So I certainly say that the crisis is certainly as great, but probably not advertised as much.
Elder Lamar, we want you to make a statement because we're now shifting our focus into Elder Paul. Next year is the 20th anniversary of Keep the Vote No Takeover. Elder Lamar, in our pre-production, you gave us some vital information. We want the listening audience to know that what our brother is going to run down on us he has no ego, no individualism. This is just a true point. Lamar, could you please tell us your relationship with the conceptualization of the whole concept of Keep the Vote No Takeover?
Certainly. At the time, I happened to be a state representative, and I was one of the more outspoken voices against the proposed takeover, as it was characterized as a takeover. And Helen Moore led the No Takeover Coalition, and she came to Lansing because there was some concern about, even then, about some of the quality of education in the Detroit public schools or what was going on, and some people who were just covetous and that's internally covetous of the $1.5 billion that the Detroit public schools had.
I can't pronounce that word, but that's something to be covered, isn't it?
Yeah.
1.5 billion. Hello,
Yeah,
Elder Paul.
1.5 billion.
right?
Billion.
That's
And so-
that's something to covenant, right?
And this was all internal. This is before the Europeans decided to really weigh in. And so what really
You
happened?
talking about John Engler and company?
And John Engler and John Rakolta, a multi-billionaire school developer who did not like being saddled with although he didn't say it in these terms, this is what I believe, that he didn't like being saddled with certain subcontractors that duly elected school board was going to have.
Stipulations.
Right. Those
Dr. Sneed and them and everybody was
Right,
putting
so they were going to have and that was actually Dr. Green at this time, but they were going to have that school board, which comprised of Lonnie Bates and those alike.
But didn't Dr. Sneed lead the charge to get to 1 point plus?
He led the charge to get to 1.5, but he had been dismissed by that point. And we had Dr. Green, but I don't want to go into that because we can go off on a different tangent. So what I want to say is that the point I'm making, that there was some disagreement about the takeover or the necessity for the takeover. There were, although the NAACP, I think, was on record opposing it, I know that Wendell Anthony and Fannie Lou Hamer and others were supportive of the takeover.
But
And
you didn't want to go there on Dr. Sneed, but you went there on.
Well, we're
The
talking
right
about
Reverend.
no, we're talking about and also the Reverend Horace Sheffield and others.
But bring
and this is a matter of record. But let me
Bring it home.
let
Bring
me-
it home. You
let
know
me
what we're
bring it
talking
home.
about.
Right. So I was one who said then we need to make sure that paramount is to keep the vote. And so we met at Akhnaktuns, Mama Joanne Watson, Ernest and Johnson, Ernest Italo Johnson, and others, and Mother Helen Moore, of course. And we decided to. Joanne is one who brought it together because the name was going to be Keep the Vote, or which I advocated, or the No Takeover Coalition. And Joanne just put them together, and she said there's going to be the Keep the Vote, No Takeover
Now,
Coalition.
we're going to get that to Elder Paul Taylor, but you're bringing in Keep the Vote. One of the things that Queen Mother Helen Moore used to always instruct us is that 70% of the people in Detroit oppose losing the right to vote. And when we finally got down to 2004, because the law had a sunset in it, that one of the requirements is that they must allow the people of Detroit to have a referendum. Your point about keep the vote is what won the referendum, because that's what people, though there may have been people who opposed or didn't care who took over the school, we did not want to lose our right to vote.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, Queen Mother.
That's
Helen,
key. That's
right.
key.
Queen Mother Helen Moore brought to me as a legislator a letter from the late, great Rosa Parks, who was still alive and among us, asking that her vote not be removed. And she talked about the history, and this is with the beginning
You,
of
you wouldn't have a
that.
copy of that letter, would you?
No, but Mama Helen Moore does.
Well, that's important. Now, Elder Paul Taylor,
Yes,
in
sir.
terms of keep the vote, no takeover, you and Reverend Joanne Watson were the original co-chairs of Keep the Vote.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to serve, but the people such as Helen Moore, Lamar Lemons, and others was just as instrumental as we were. We initiated over at the Inner City Subcenter. Joanne called me and said she'd like to have a meeting at the community center there, and without question of a doubt, we opened the door for such a meeting. And so we came over, and we had an overflow crowd of people who understood the need to keep our vote, and to have resources that we have some control over. That $1.5 billion was tax dollars that we paid, our money. It wasn't their money, it was our money, and we need to have control over what happens to our money. So Keep the Vote, No Takeover came to be, and we were pleased and proud to have it over at the Inner City Subcenter initially, and then it grew on from there and
Now-
went all over the
Now,
city.
don't dismiss, bruh, that you were the original co-chair. And that's important because of your role in the community, the inner city sub-center. It was vital to have you in there.
Well, I'm thankful, so grateful. Sister Joanne Watson was instrumental in that. In fact, she said, I'm on the east side. Somebody say east side.
East Side?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. And now they were on the west side. And so we would come together and chair it in the initial state establishment of it. But soon thereafter, we know Queen Mother, Joanne Watson, had the notion to get it, our good sister Helen Moore, involved. And she was involved from the beginning.
Well, we have to say this. She is the spiritual leader of
Without-
Keep the Vote, No Takeover.
Without doubt.
And of the education. She actually organized Black Parents for Quality Education.
Exactly.
Even while I was, right around the time that you were leaving school and I was still in high school, when she organized Black Parents for Quality Education.
For our listening audience, we're moving on, but we just have to say this. In 2004, Paul, Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick was like your younger brother.
Yeah, well, you could say that in a sense.
There were so many people in 2004 that knew that when it came down to vote to either turn it over to the mayor and the city or to have our vote independent, Keep the Vote, No Takeover, people were banking that you were going to side with Mayor Kilpatrick, but you held strong, steadfast, principled, brother. You kept involved with Keep the Vote, No Takeover, and you actually put it on the line. You put the sub-center and everything on the line. Yay, Bo?
Well, I guess you could say that, but the reality was, Brother Lamar Limbs, who sits by my side, was with us and had direct involvement in the fact that keeping our vote was more important than anything.
But
And
for the inner city sub-center.
Right.
I mean, you put it online. We even know somebody that we all know very well. Sister said that if she was a mayor and what you did, she would have shut the inner city sub-center down because they could not believe.
Well, I'm sure
How
there
strong you
was
were.
plenty who wanted to set it down, so that's not new information. But the point remains the same, that we were committed to the fact that we, as a community, have the right to vote and must keep that right to vote, and that nothing stand in our way, inner city sub-center notwithstanding.
Now,
And so that's what we did.
to the brothers, let's go here. 1973. Is it proper that we can say that the election of the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young the first was a miracle?
Well,
Too bombastic, too much rhetoric.
Well, if
I mean, a
if it's-
miracle.
If it's a miracle, then that God allowed that to happen. If miracles come from God, so if you're saying that God was responsible, I can agree with that.
I mean, it was a miracle, particularly if we look at how we've been running some elections recently.
Right.
I mean, we can say
Yeah, well,
that in
that's true.
1973 it was a miracle.
Well, I think the conscience level of individual was higher then, and so we were able to, because what was the miracle was the primary, because we had a white liberal, and unfortunately we had eventually we had two white liberals, but one prominent white liberal in Mel Ravitz, who was running, and so Coleman finished second by the skin of his teeth by beating Mel Ravitz by less than 1,000 votes, which back then in the city of 1.2 million at the time was less than 1%.
Okay.
So Coleman Young beat Mel Ravitz less than 1%
Wait.
in the primary.
You put the miracle on God, right?
Yes.
I mean, we know that God is, Genesis 1:28, God has given us dominion over the earth.
Yes.
True?
True.
The miracle, Elder Paul, come in on this. The miracle was of our creation because we had a necessity. Because if we had lost that election, stress helped drive us to create the conditions. Hello?
Yeah, mostly in the general, though.
Well, whoa. Elder Paul, come in on that.
Right.
In the primary, what was one of the biggest issues we had? Let's do this. Boyd, Brown, and Bethune.
Certainly that was an issue. Stress was certainly an issue as well.
The fact that Raymond Peterson had assassinated 9 people, and it was only because folks got tired and they found cat hairs in the knife that he had planted on a brother on I-75 in Mack, and they found that the cat hairs was from his cat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was one of the things that forced us, that we were under what? Stress?
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about just personal stress. We're speaking of a police killing machine. And that helped drive us to put ourselves in a situation.
Yeah, I would agree, and I would say that, and so Coleman was the most outspoken. But remember, there was only one candidate who was not opposed to stress in the primary. So Ravitz was opposed to stress. Walking John Moak, who was probably the key catalyst, the key individual responsible for Coleman's election.
Oh, Lord, excuse me. Bro, you about to give a heart attack.
Let me tell you why.
No, say it. Say it.
Let me tell you
Take-
why.
take your time.
Because he divided the white liberal vote and took votes from Mel Ravitz, who I just told you, lost to Coleman Young by less than 1%.
Do you agree with that analysis? Excuse me, Henry, I'm sorry, moving from the mic. Do you agree with that analysis, Elder Paul Taylor?
You know, I certainly agree with it, but brother,
You agree with that?
Brother Lamar Lemons is again the person who is the historian when it comes to
Okay.
electoral politics.
So if John Moak not in the race,
Excuse me.
No,
Whoa,
I'm
whoa,
gonna
whoa.
give you
No,
two
no,
things.
no, no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
explain
no,
it to you
no,
right
no,
now.
no, you didn't. Let's put this out here like this. The MVP of 1973 was not Coleman Alexander Young.
Shrine to the black slate.
Whoa. The Shrine of Black Slate was an instrument. The MVP, when we say MVP, the most valuable person, the most valuable philosophy of 1973. Let's add one more data point, Elder Paul, for our listening audience, Elder Lamar Lemons. There were 5 major black nationalist movements in Detroit. You had the Shrine of Black Madonna. You had PAC USA. You had UNI ACL, and that's basically where old soldiers went home to kick it.
Right.
You had the RNA, and you had the Nation of Islam. Both the Nation of Islam and
Did not vote at that time.
wait a minute, the Nation of Islam and the RNA did not participate in electoral politics.
Exactly.
Old folks movement, they was just there. Elder Ed Vaughn, the teacher, he vehemently disagrees with this today. In the primary of 1973, the PAC USA did a dual endorsement
Right. With Ed Bell.
with Ed Bell. In the primary, the most valuable player was not Walking John Moak. The most valuable player, the most valuable personality was Jaramogi One.
Well, I would agree.
Wait a minute. And the most valuable philosophy was black Christian nationalism.
I would agree with that too.
If the Shrine of the Black Madonna, who and Jaramogi One, do you accept this? We just say Reverend ABC Jr. in 1964, the way he got to the understanding of putting a vanguard like the Black Slate together was because of the work that he did with the Freedom Now Party that
Absolutely.
we say Uhuru Sasa.
Uhuru
Now,
Sasa.
9 years later, because of his understanding, he put the Black Slate. And the reason why the Shrine, Black Christian nationalism, was the MVP is because they did not, you couldn't pay the shrine.
That's true.
The sisters and brothers in the shrine, they didn't need money.
Right. We didn't get any. I know.
Hello?
I was on the front lines with them in the shrine at that time.
Yes, we was.
Well, we know that, but the shrine did not. And in the primary, you can say Walking John Moke took votes away from Mel Ravitch, but it was the black power, the strain of the black power, which was black Christian nationalism,
Absolutely.
that drove. It wasn't that we,
Right,
it drove our vote up, because
That's
what
true.
had happened, it increased the velocity of our vote.
Right, because
you
I'm
can have a
18, so
percentage.
I'm voting the first time. I'm the 18-year-olds there. I'm 18. I became precinct delegate. I was on the post for free all day, every day. I walked, and so I know firsthand what the black slaves
And
did.
it is important. Why is it important that we deal with this question of a miracle? Because the atmosphere that we are living in now, in 2018, is just as critical as it was in 1973, because the external threat we had then was John Nichols and stress.
Right. So that became, but in the general, it became a total,
Well, that's where people like Elder Paul Taylor, Paul, let's run some names. Elder Paul Taylor, Bernard Parker, Barry Hankerson, Cassandra Smith,
Jihad Hud.
Jihad Hood, Dr. Judy Hankins. Hey, here's one. The team of Longworth Quinn Jr. and Kathy Bryant. Hello?
You going back.
Larry Nevels,
Larry Nevels.
Reverend Lonnie Pete,
Mm-hmm.
my homie from 8 Mile, George Cushionberry, Loretta Akers.
Right.
There were so many people that came together, but we could not have caught our collective Cucachagalea if it had not been for the fact that the Shrine of the Black Madonna.
Right.
And then also in the primary, let's also remember the black unionists like Buddy Battle and them.
Don't
They had a
leave-
meeting at
Don't leave out my partner, Dave Booker, who was also
David
ran
Booker.
involved in
But
that.
you had people like Buddy Battle. He gave a speech at CDC. Anybody remember Miss Kraft's spot, CDC?
Mm-hmm.
Buddy said that there's only few times in life where a UAW union rep would bet his pork chop. And working for, because regular workers would go to work and eat bologna. But if you was a sim cap, like Leon Cohen, you could eat pork chops at Maddie's. Hello? And people bet their pork chop. But in 73, we created a miracle.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah, that was a miracle, no doubt.
Okay, let's go to
Right,
another.
because actually what people don't also realize.
But don't be giving it to no John Moke.
well, I've said the primary.
Don't give it to no John Moke. I
Let
know
me-
that's conventional wisdom that Bob Pizer and a bunch of white liberals was running, that Walking John Moke took enough votes for Mel Ravitch.
Well,
no,
that's a fact.
no, black power.
But black
power.
Black power came
Black
out the vote
power.
because if as you said, if the shrine had not done what it and the black slate had not done, it wouldn't have been the difference wouldn't have been there.
But the people in 1973 accepted the black slate. They accepted the black slate, and it was a velocity, because theoretically we had won the battle for black power since the rebellion. But it was the practical application
Absolutely.
of 1973. And another reason why it was there is because in 1972, did not Queen Mother Irma Henderson defeat Jack Kelly?
Yes.
So that was a precursor
Yep.
to let people know. Let's go to another miracle. 1995. It was the United Front. People, we love the Nation of Islam, and they want to give Minister Farrakhan as an individual all credit, but there was a united front that came together in 1995. One of them was NAILS, the National African American Independent Leadership Summit, and people came together in 1995 and drove 1 million plus. And one of the other things is objective reality. October 3rd, what happened on October 3rd, 1995?
I don't know. Was that the O.J. Simpson thing?
Thank you. There were so many brothers who was pressed everywhere. White people at the job, wherever, they was like, do you believe O.J. was innocent or guilty? And if you said innocent, you was catching it in the neck. The only thing that took the O.J. Simpson trial off of the front burner was what? 1 million plus brothers, and 1 out of 10 came from where?
Came from Detroit.
So we presented a united front in 1995 that put us in a position that it was so deep. Lamar, you the political scientist. In 1997, in the general election, two brothers that went to the Million Man March were on the ballot to be mayor. We remember those two brothers?
What year you saying?
97.
Art Blackwell.
Oh, please.
What's that? No, that was that year.
Art
before.
Blackwell didn't make it through the primary, man, when he ran. He got kicked to the curb.
No, that was 92. I'm trying to.
No, that was
97.
92.
That was 93. The Art Blackwell ran because Kwame. 97. Who came in? That was Dennis Archer ran.
Go ahead with your big brain. See that big brain working, Paul? Can you
You
feel
know,
it over
this
there?
man is a historian when
Come
it
on
comes
with
to
the second
electoral
half,
politics
bruh.
now. He's electoral
You want some
politics.
help?
Yeah,
You want some help?
I want some help.
He had a bookstore on Dexter and Richton.
Oh, Ed Bond ran. That's right.
The
Who?
teacher, Ed Vaughn.
The
The
teacher.
teacher Ed Bond. Yep.
They ran.
Just spoke to Ed Bonds a couple days ago.
Both of those brothers, Million Man Brothers, in 1997. And then from 1995,
How
that
come-
was a miracle. Beg your pardon?
I said, how could I forget that? I ran in one of his offices for
1997. In 1999, we put together what? Take your time. Listening audience, they're going to take their time. Keep the vote, no takeover.
Oh, that's what we
right.
said.
Yeah,
Keep the vote.
keep
We
the vote,
talked
come
about
back.
that.
Okay.
So, but in 1999, we put together that program. And Paul, we want to ask you this, Elder. If the 20th anniversary is next year, would it be appropriate that we took good sister Pam Chris's transition date as a day that we should come together and begin the commemoration next year? Because who was a dynamic duo but Queen Mother Helen Moore and
Pam Chris, who gave her life, in fact,
Right.
because when she was diagnosed with having such a health challenge that she had, she never let that stop her. She kept on going until the day came, and so
Joyce, give
her
us a
spirit
time
lives
check.
on.
Where we at? 141. We got 19 minutes.
She
Excuse me.
loved that movement, and she loved us some Helen Moore, and Keep the Vote, No Takeover. So she was instrumental, certainly along with Helen Moore.
Now, from a mathematical point of view, from 64 to 73 was 9 years. From 1995 to 2004, that was 9 years. But in the interim, we were able to do what? Elect Kwame Kilpatrick in what? 2001.
2001.
Lamar-
On 9/11, the primary. He made the primary on 9/11/2001, the same day they took down the towers. Just
Who were two of the city council candidates that we got through in the first 9 in 2001? Big brain?
Let's see, you all are the historians. So
No,
I yield
I'm
that
going to the
brother.
big brain.
in 2001.
Yeah, in the primary, who were the two candidates that made it through from our community? One of them, both of them were Keep the Vote, No Takeover. Come on, big brain, you got 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, no pressure.
No, I don't remember.
He'll remember as soon as you tell him.
Good sister Sharon McPhail,
Okay, that's right.
who finished 9th? Kwame, who?
Oh, Kwame Kenyatta.
Kwame Kenyatta. And in the general election, what happened? Because there were some forces in our community that did not want the black nationalist economic program of Kwame Kenyatta, they got together with Jesse Jackson, and what did they do? They flipped the script. Who finished 9th and who finished 10th? In the general election in 2001.
Don't remember off. the-
Lonnie Bates finished 9th and Kwame finished 10th because they
Okay,
hooked
that-
him up
right.
because he had his, what was it hat, the kufu, he had his hat on, and they tried to say that was a Muslim hat. And they were so anti-Muslim, they used that against Kwame.
He said his kufi was a Muslim man.
Of course. I mean, but we were able to do that in 2001. And what miracle did we do in 2003?
Joanne Watson. Was that 2003?
Come on, Paul.
You know, I won't profess to be the historian.
2000, of course it was Joanne Watson. What did the Council of Elders do in 2003 that opened up the door to solidify that she would be our candidate? They gave instructions that every person of African descent, if you followed the edict of the Detroit Council of Elders, you were to endorse who?
Joanne Watson. But again, politicians, historical, you got the man right here.
But we're just showing how, in the city of Detroit, how pregnant we are. In 2005, who lost the primary in 2005 for mayor? Who came in second for mayor in 2005?
In the
Primary.
primary. Kwame Kilpatrick came in second.
Who
And
came in
then
first?
Freeman Hendricks.
What took place? See, we're linking eldership with ancestors and fellowship. What happened in late October of 2005 that flipped the script? Because it's normally, Elder Lamar, that if an incumbent loses a primary, he's what? Dead in the water?
That's true.
Dead on arrival? What happened October 24th, 2005 that put us in place for another miracle in 2005? What made Kwame Kilpatrick win? Now, you can talk to Ron Lockhart and some others, and we love you, Ron, that said that it was their work in barbershops and hair salons.
I would say it was the commercial that showed the Freeman Hendricks abuse of a parent.
Hey, he's a big brain, Paul. Listening audience, you got a big
I would
brain
say,
right here.
It was Freeman. They showed the Freeman Hendricks abusing a senior grandparent of her child and saying, "Get him out of here."
But what triggered that? What triggered that? What made that? Because Sharon used that same commercial in the primary.
But she didn't
No,
use it
but-
as effectively. as
No,
she did.
no, it was an objective reality. It was a condition. It was something that happened that dealt with our ancestors, that changed the commercial, that just ran to where it became effective. It was objective reality.
Okay. The only again, as
Elder-
part of objective reality, Kwame had more resources and he ran that commercial, so a whole lot more people
Well,
saw it under Kwame
Elder
doing
Paul,
that.
he mentioned it earlier. You mentioned it earlier. The answer is tied into who gave you the letter. Queen Mother Helen Moore gave you the letter. Who was the letter from?
Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks.
Queen Mother Rosa Parks. Who
Queen-
made their transition on October 24th, 2005?
No, Queen Mother. Rosa Parks. Is that
That's
it?
what made the Sharon McPhail produce Keep the Boat No Takeover commercial. It's effective because when women saw that after Queen Mother Rosa Parks made her transition, they said that could be my mother. That's what flipped the script because now if you want additional data to back that up, here's an extra data point. Because Queen Mother Rosa Parks had worked for Congressman John Conyers.
Yes.
The people in the
For years.
community, they could not vote for John Conyers, but who went from 8th in the primary of 2005 and wound up 2nd? Come on, big brain, you got 10 seconds.
Monica Conyers.
Boy, you was a good one. Monica
I
Conyers.
told you, man, was a historical
Oh,
genius in
okay,
electoral politics.
here's where we are. Because one of the things, Paul, we got to have you because we only have about 10 minutes left. Here's one of the things that we must do. We must let people know that for the next several Thursday night, we need their support. Because when we tie eldership with ancestors and fellowship on October 11th, 2002, we know what happened, don't we?
Well, I know we know that, what was our brother's name? Was involved in the so-called snipers incident.
But
Is that where we're going?
of course.
Okay.
I mean, not we going, but that is the objective reality. Our Mata brother, our Central High School brother, hello? He made his he was assassinated
Yes, he was.
on October 11th, 2002. We must lift him up. How can we not, DPS alumni for life, how can we not, all of us DPS, how can we not lift our brother up on October 11th?
Well, again, it's an organizing opportunity as well because he was a native Detroiter and was struck down. They say it was accidental, and some of us say maybe it was on purpose.
Accidental? That wasn't accidental. John Muhammad and them, they bored a hole in the trunk of their car and they shot him while he was pumping gas.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother, last year, he made reference that Dick Gregory said it definitely was a hit. So we have this coming up on October 11th as we prepare for the Holy Day of Atonement.
October 16th.
So we're meeting when?
Well, you know, we're meeting on today. In fact, we're meeting over
Every
at
Thursday.
Line Village, and every Thursday,
Every Thursday.
as we're organizing for the celebration of the anniversary of the creation of the Million Man Alumni. because that's really what our anniversary is. We created ourselves on the bus ride back from, again, the march. And it was through James Booker and my man Joe Palmore and
King
many
Joe
other-
Palmore.
King Joe Palmore that was on the bus with us, that we said, yes, we want to keep this spirit alive. We want to keep this comradeship. We want to keep this togetherness alive. And in that spirit, we created the Minuteman Alumni on the bus on the way back. from
Elder
the
Lamar
Minuteman.
Lemons, we want to ask you a question.
Yes, I was on that same bus.
Is it, that's not the question. Here's the question. With you and Elder Paul and other brothers that we have, is there the possibility that on October 16th, we can have Garland Gilchrist II as our speaker?
We'll definitely reach out to him, and we definitely could possibly do that.
How you feel about that, Elder Paul?
I don't have a negative notion. It would be good to have him because we haven't seen him in Detroit too often.
Well, I see him all the time.
Lamar, that's what Lamar said. Let's make this one point before we have to get out of here. The Honorable Coleman Alexander Young the first. One of the things that he taught us was that people, black people, as he said in 1973, black people do, because of all of the stress and strain and the toil and strife of our everyday life, we don't get involved in politics until 21 days before the election. Help us. If October 16th, and there's 15 days to October 31st, 15 days, right? And you add 6 days to November election, that's 21 days. So if the mayor instructed us that our people are concerned 21 days out, then October 16th is the perfect day to begin doing get out the vote organizing. Elder Lamar, speak to that.
Absolutely, and they will have sites open that you can vote early. You don't have to wait. So if somebody say, I'm going to vote, you say, let me take you right now, or let me take you tomorrow, because the polls are open at WC3, both WC3 campuses, and you can vote in person, absentee. You can get your ballot right there and vote it and have it turned in. And we need to get as many, because this is a bad sheet ballot. There are over 100 offices, and you can no longer just push straight Democratic, and you have to vote each and every one of them. So you know, they say this fall you got to vote them all. You can't just say, well, I got all the Democrats and I can go to the nonpartisan.
The Republicans made sure that you couldn't vote straight.
Right, because because it looks like it's going to be a blue wave, an anti-Trump wave, and they didn't want to make it too easy for you.
Joyce, how many minutes we got left? 8. We have 8 minutes left. Here's one point we want to make. You know, we talked about different movements. One of them was the RNA. Let me ask you this, big brain. Paul, you can get in where you fit in. If we win lieutenant governor in Michigan, governor in Georgia, governor in Florida, is that not a modified?
And don't forget Maryland.
Let's finish this. If we win governor and lieutenant governor in Michigan, governor in Georgia, governor in Florida,
and governor in Maryland.
You can add jealous if you want to.
Okay.
All right. You can add Ben if you want to.
Okay.
But what we're pointing to is a modified Republic of New Africa reality.
Okay.
If we win Georgia and win Florida, is that not a modified using ballot over bullet to get the beginning of a modified RNA, because soon we can get South Carolina, add Mississippi. If Mike Epsby win Senate in Mississippi, are we moving in that direction?
We're moving in that direction.
People of African descent, we the ones that shot down Roy Moore on December 12th. So are we not moving towards a modified Republic of New Africa?
Well, we're definitely moving, changing the whole meanings of states' rights.
Come on, Paul. Modified RNA?
Well, you know, the electoral politics geniuses that I'm sitting right here next to, I will yield to whatever it is that we're saying, because I know you've done the history, should I say, and did the research. So I'm certainly in support of what's being said.
And now,
without question.
Lamar, the reason why,
especially in Florida and actually in Jealous that I'm adding, you have two individuals there that support a progressive agenda, and so
and you're trying to say the sister in Georgia doesn't?
Well, no, I'm saying those two are out. She has the She has a more moderate agenda because she has to. But in Florida and in Maryland, their agenda corresponds with what Bernie Sanders was going, which is a socialist agenda.
Help me, Lord. He done went from walking John Moe to now you running.
I'm just saying the agenda, progressive agenda.
Are you a Bernie's bro?
No, but I supported Bernie over the Clinton. And if you don't know why, I tell people just get Michelle Alexander's book. She explains to all the world why we shouldn't be Clintonites, especially without an apology first.
Here's the point on Georgia, Florida, and Garland Gilchrist II. Tell you why?
Why?
It's an I-75 strategy.
Okay,
We can go from Flint to Miami,
that's true.
Michigan, Georgia, Florida, balance and order.
Okay,
Michigan, Georgia, and Florida,
the balance in order. Okay.
balance and order.
Okay.
If Garland Gilchrist II went down there and interviewed both candidates for governor and came back, it's on. One of the problems we're going to have in Michigan is that women candidates face a 5% structural inequality when they run. Hillary Clinton won the direct vote, but she lost the electoral vote. In Michigan, one of the reasons why women lose because of a structural inequality, how many hundreds of years will it be before we see a female priest in the Catholic Church? How many thousands of years before we see a female pope? All based on people's misinterpretation of Genesis 3 and 16. We have an opportunity to have balance and order. Garland Gilchrist, Elder Paul, Brother Elder Lamar. In the few minutes we have left, Garland Gilchrist II. He was imposed on us, but does that make us bitter or better?
Look, we got a black man, and now that he's there, we got a black man there. Let's ride. And he's 35 years old. That means he has plenty of time to learn, to grow, and perhaps could even be a future governor.
Let's ask you this question. Let's ask this closing question.
And I don't want to say this too much, but if he is successful,
Oh, don't say it. If you had to apologize before you say it,
Yeah.
please don't say it.
I'll say it.
Because we know where you're going. Please
Okay,
don't say
you're
it.
all right.
Please do not say it.
all right.
All right, because one of the things when we see the strategy that's working against the Democratic Party,
You're right.
Isn't it so much that Bill Schuette and them, they're saying crime, crime, crime? Is it not that Garland Gilchrist, even though he's a lovely brother because he's a second, but just to see that brother with that melanin in his skin, all they got to do is say crime, crime, crime. Hello? And that is a subliminal suggestion because it's a variation of who did Willie Horton in what year?
That was Bush, the
Herbert Walker.
Yeah, the daddy.
157.
It was
Herbert Walker.
Right. That was Bush, the daddy.
Yes, dear.
And that was in the presidential year.
When you had the Bushiite,
84.
no,
No,
84.
no,
88. When you had the
88.
Bushiite guy come to Sterling Heights and was, remember it, the commercial they made with him riding in a tank? Paul, we got 2 minutes. Could you please,
That was the caucus.
would you please tell people why we need them for the next several weeks to meet with us at the Village?
I can, and I want to thank you, Brother Lawrence, for you and your lovely wife giving us this opportunity again. But, you know, again, we're celebrating the 23rd anniversary of the Million Man March, and we're going to be having it over at the Alkebulan Village. It's our village right there on Van Dyke and Harper, Brother Cofield and family. And we'll be doing it on the Tuesday that it falls on, because we make sure we do it on that particular day. So October 16th this year falls on a Tuesday. We'll be meeting over at the Alkebulan Village, 6 o'clock. Everyone is invited. And, you know, we have come to some renewed understanding. It's not just ain't about the brothers, it's about the sisters too. It ain't just the Million Man March. We want to get the ladies to come out as well.
Elder Lamar, anytime you get something from a Kappa, he gonna bring the ladies in. A Kappa gonna always bring the sisters
We
up.
got to bring the sisters. So
But it is a mandate though, right?
yes, without a
Is
question.
October 16th a
October 16th
mandate?
is a mandate. We need to organize
All right.
and utilize that day to reunite ourselves in our struggle for our liberation and our freedom. So we asking everybody to come out.
Give Lamar,
Keep Line
give Lamar
Village.
30 seconds.
Please go on, Lamar. Cap it off.
Well, no, you can go ahead. I think the October 16th, Is that the day we're going to actually have the meeting at and where?
We're having that there at Keebeline Village on October 16th. Brother Cofield's already opened out his doors.
That's
our
a
doors.
Wednesday?
It's on
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
And we're calling all brothers, but we're calling sisters as well. We're going to pay homage to some of the brothers who have made that transition, have gone on to glory. We always do that on October 16th. There'll be refreshments. It's free admission.
Lamar, you gonna get us Garland
on in.
Gilchrist a second?
And we're going to work on get Garland Gilchrist, and I will.
Say, we got 1 minute, Lamar. Put it on tape for.
I'm
It's
gonna-
going up in the cloud and
Okay.
YouTube
I will
everywhere.
be contacting Garland Gilchrist, and if he doesn't already have something already previously scheduled, I'm sure he'll be there.
Well,
Great
that's a
thing
good
about that, Paul.
That's a good thing. We certainly will open our door to have him come and have a word. We'll still be also lifting up our fight, as I will call the fight, to save our museum. We'll have that as part of our agenda, our Charles Wright Museum. So there'll be a lot that we'll speak on that day, and we're opening the doors and calling all brothers and sisters to come and join us on
And if you
October 16th.
brothers, if you want to know more about the mandate, go in your Bible, Deuteronomy 16:16. God gives instruction that men are to come into the tabernacle and don't come empty-handed. Tell them to bump us. Men are to come into the tabernacle. Deuteronomy, we put him to sleep? Good. Well, we're going to keep on rolling, y'all.
He there. He's
Deuteronomy
got 1 minute, but that's
16:16. Deuteronomy 16:16 is an instruction from God that men are to come into the tabernacle and not come empty-handed.
there. Long live the spirit of the Midman March.
Bump us, bruh.